help them navigate through various situations in their lives. And so I decided at some point that I needed to educate that gift. And so that's when I went to campus and studied psychology, majoring in counseling. Yeah, so I do individual counseling, that is one-on-one, online, in person, and I also do group therapy. I also do mental health trainings and that kind of a thing. So that's what I've been doing, and I love seeing people move from point A to point B so that they can continue with their lives.
Awesome. Yeah. And I remember asking you what drew you to psychology, and then of course you gave me an interesting answer. And definitely people have enough problems in this world, but there's something I want, a record we probably need to set straight before we continue. Many times, especially in the Christian circles, people feel like they don't need counseling. It's enough for me to be saved, love Jesus, I'm good. The Bible is enough counseling for me. What's your take on that, even before we go to our discussion for today?
Yeah, it's important to be saved because you see, for instance, someone who was in an addiction, and not necessarily a substance addiction, something like a behavior, a certain behavior like sex addiction, shopping addiction, gambling addiction. So when you get born again, even if you die tomorrow, you will definitely be in heaven. But there is that process of breaking the addiction. Cigarette smoker, you are taking 10. They always say you won't, there can be that miraculous event where you stop once. But most people go and do like 5, 3, 2 until, because there is this physiological system involving hormones and certain biological things. So that's how it is. That's where we come in to help you in the journey. You know, that journey, so that you no longer are interested, or so that you are able to deal with emotions that you don't understand. So that process, that is where counselors come in, or psychologists or psychiatrists, that process of helping you go from point A to your preferred scenario.
Awesome. There's something you've mentioned that caught my attention, and I'm not saying obviously I'm a victim, but shopping can be an addiction.
It can be
So how can you help someone recover from shopping addiction? And I know mostly the culprits are gender-wise, I'll not say, but you know.
Culprits are women, but there's also men. And we'll trace this back to some things back in childhood. You know, most behaviors you see adults with are formed, they are things that happen to them in childhood, you know, childhood traumas. Because you see, maybe a child did not grow up in a setup where they had these things provided, you know, they were not well up. So when this person is able to earn and they are able to buy for themselves things, they always want to, you know, fill that void and you know, always buy things, and it never seems like it's enough. You know, you are unable to resist something. So it's important when you realize you are like that, because you know, you can never, you will always see something better. And so it's important to realize that you cannot buy everything, and you need to find out what is this that I'm trying to feel by always seeing something and thinking that I need it. And maybe you have even new things in the house, and you have not even, I'm sure there are many people who have new clothes, but they haven't worn them. But if you go tomorrow on the streets and you find something, you will want to buy it and take it back to, you know, so that contentment. Contentment is something that we need to practice and learn. You know, and learn as human beings, so that you're just contented and you buy something when you need it.
That's right.
And stop trying to, you know, try and get everything, you know.
The gap that you're talking about, someone trying to fill a gap that they missed out in childhood. I think it's very true, and especially like you've said, women are guilty of that impulse buying. And I remember one person advised another that I got to hear about. They said, when you don't commit your money, there is something that the money will look for. Yani pesa huwa inataka kutoka kwa mikono. So there will always be a gap that the money will seek to find. So it's good to, one way of disciplining yourself is commit your money. Once you don't have to throw it out there, commit it in such a way that maybe just in case you need it, you can have it back.
That's true.
But that's an interesting one. So addiction is not just about substance. It's not about matters of people's sexual orientation, but it goes beyond that. So now let's talk about loss. We are at a time where people campaigned, they crisscrossed this country, they moved left, right, center. But first of all, before we go there, what do you define as loss, especially from an expert's perspective?
Loss is just when you lose something that you had you previously had possession of, and it was, you know, it was something that you had endeared in your heart, or it was just something that you had probably worked for. And there's this misconception that people think that loss is only when someone close dies.
Yes.
You know, and you know, I would like to clarify that loss is not only death. You know, there are many types of losses.
Yeah.
You know, there could be the loss of health. For instance, something like a terminal disease, or if someone gets into an accident and they lose a limb, or they lose a leg, or, you know, another part of their body. There is the loss of pet, there is a loss of property, loss of many other things. So if that is loss, and you will go through the grieving process, because this was something that you previously had. Even relationships, even friendships. There is a friendship that can come to an end, and the coming few days you start feeling that emptiness, you start feeling that sadness, you know. And most people don't want to understand the feelings that come when you're grieving those minor losses, you know, because people view that death is the major loss, but they don't want to understand that the loss is loss.
Loss is loss.
Major or minor loss is loss.
Yes.
And you don't want to numb feeling that, going through that process of grieving that thing. Because if you don't, it will definitely be projected in other ways which you don't want. So acknowledge the pain. If you've lost a friendship, because there are friendships that come to, there are season of friendship. People come into your life for a season. And when they leave, you need to, you know, just acknowledge it was painful, but I must move forward. This person is probably not going where I am going. I accept it. I acknowledge it's painful, but I must continue.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Wow. And of course, you mentioned the kinds of losses, and you've made me remember one time. I was in we had actually gone to the US. So one of the friends was telling us how the mannerisms, we were just discussing the mannerisms between us Africans and the Westerners. And this guy came looking sick, all sick, and like, I need permission, I need an off today. No, he actually called the office like, I'm not feeling well. So the boss asks, what's the problem? Did you see the doctor? Then he said, no, actually it's my pet that died and I need an off, I can't make it to work. And I thought, this is not funny. Of course, it was funny, but it's not funny. And I realized it was not funny until one day, and this is a true story, a cat that used to frequent, you know, in the neighborhood, the cats forget their home, and they begin to frequent the neighbor's home. And one day this cat, so it became like a familiar pet around our home, then it would disappear for 2 days. And then one day it was caught, I think it fell, it got injured, and then one day it got caught in the neighbor's engine. And so I think something happened and it was mashed there. Do you know that thing traumatized some people that I don't want to mention on this show? And I was like, oh God, I felt it too. In fact, it took me days. I realized this is not a joke. I mean, for some people, even the loss of a pet is a big thing. So you can imagine, we Africans don't value pets, but there are some members of this world, let me say that, for them a pet is a member of the family. And they will actually go through the stages of grieving and even maybe need some counseling. So that is what this brings us to our next question. When people downplay the loss of other people, and they're like seriously you're mourning, that kind of an attitude. What's your take on that, where people downplay the loss of others?
Yes, it happens, because I've also seen people do burials for pets. And we go,
we're not supposed to be laughing, but anyway.
I know, but we shouldn't, because this person, we are not in the, you know, we say in psychology, we say human beings are phenomenological. Everyone has their own world and how they understand things. And no, you know, even when people are grieving, there's this thing we say, I know what you are going through. You don't know what this person is going through. You have no idea. And that's the time we need to be careful with what we are saying. Just be there and be careful with words, because you cannot really understand what's going on in the mind of this person. So when this person is mourning a pet, and or this person has lost a friendship. I've lost friendships and I've told people, and people have told me, now what is that? You can always find another friend. You know, they downplay your you know, they downplay your loss or your grieving. And it's so bad, because now you'll want to man up. You will want to put this strong face so that you can please other people, and you will skip that step of acknowledging the pain. And then you may project it in other ways. You know, it even comes in like headaches, addictions, because you're trying to escape this pain. Or even if it's a relationship, you've broken up, you don't want to take time and heal, you know, and understand what went on, because there are people who will tell you, take 2 years, you will overcome this this relationship. But the truth is that you've just been pushing the pain aside, and you will build your life around that pain if you don't come face to face with it, so that you can heal and move on with life. So it's not advisable to downplay the pain of other people. Let them grieve, because you really don't understand what is going on with them. And don't give those funny comments. Why is this person mourning a cat? Why are they mourning this friendship? I mean, there are so many people. Why are they mourning leaving, being fired? Why are they mourning the loss of that job? And that kind of a thing. Let's just allow people to be there for them, and not give judgmental statements that could potentially harm that person.
All right. Wow, thank you for handling that well. So I was just thinking, when someone loses something, there's a statement I saw recently where someone said, what you're praying for is someone's, what you're thinking is not important to you is someone's prayer item. And sometimes you're also carrying the answer to someone's prayer. Someone is busy praying for something, but you have it in your hand, and God can use you to answer it. So in the same manner, sometimes the things we downplay in people's lives, for them, it is like either a matter of life and death. It is something that is, you know, very painful. So now let's talk about what happened, like I was telling you earlier. People went out there, spent a lot of money, crisscrossed this country. Some even lost hours from their family. For months on end, they were not at home. If it's a man, they would come home when the kids have gone to sleep, the wife has gone to bed, and vice versa. And all the hopes were up there. And then the results come, and you're nowhere near victory. And so we are at that point where people are dealing with loss. Some have spent like maybe 3/4 of their entire life savings so far, to the point they have lived. So how do you especially advise, or rather counsel, this person that's going through that pain? Because apparently Kenyans have moved on, so to speak. And I'm talking of the ordinary citizens. But now there's this one person that's going through this pain. What do you advise them, or rather, what would you tell them at this point?
Politics and election are always very sensitive.
Very.
People have caused enmity just because of being, you know, on side blue or side yellow or pink or grey. And you know, there has been many losses of various kinds. There are people who, when they declared their intention to run or to become a candidate, they lost friendships immediately. You know, immediately people stopped buying from their businesses, and immediately people just stepped aside. There are people who lost friends, business deals and relationships, because they are supporting this person, candidate A or candidate B. There are people who, even after going through the elections and losing or winning, they may get divorces. They may get relationship problems. Because when they got married, the partner did not see this coming. They did not see a dream where you wanted to become a politician. Human beings are dynamic, and they change, even in marriage. So there has been, and there are those people who lost the elections, and money, investments. People have put money, and you know, they have lost. So then now you know, loss and grief has processes. You know, there is denial. Those who lost the elections, there are those who are not, there are those who accepted, but most people are in the stage of denial right now, and this didn't happen. They are saying this did not happen. We didn't lose this election, and we are seeing this in the form of the petitions that are going on. You know, people are still in denial, and you know, I don't know what happened, but it's a form of denial. You are consciously or unconsciously refuting the outcome. And then there is anger. You know, people are anger. Maybe my returning officer could have done this. I've seen these things on social media, but person A's returning officers could have done this, and there's been so much outrage on social media. You know, in the comment sections of some people are, you know, bursting out with negativity, you know, talking very negative things. You know, even the church has been involved, and people have been throwing angry words at each other, and you know, terribly. Sometimes we forget we are the body, and we set the pace, you know, and because politics, I don't know, it just carries this spirit. That's right. You know, that's right. Anger, and then there is bargaining. Bargaining is where now people are saying, what if I was from tribe? What if we went and campaigned in this and this area, you know? And then there's the other steps, which is depression or regretting. You know, people now accept that they are deep, you know, depression is deeply oppressed by those negative thoughts. And then now there's acceptance. So
you say deeply oppressed. That's why
spiritually. Spiritually, when we look at depression, we can say this person is deeply oppressed by negative thoughts. You know, but of course the scientific term is depression. But when you look at it, it's a deep oppression of negative thoughts. So this person who is here, I would like to tell them, number one, acknowledge the pain and everything that you put, the investment that you put in this. You know. Acknowledge and then accept and appreciate how far you've come. You know, appreciate that it was, you know, it takes courage to even go out there and say it does take courage. It does. You know, it takes courage because you stand losing friends. You know, you've lost so many things. You know, in the reaching this ambition. Get support. You know. Get support from a counselor or a psychologist or a pastor, someone who will not be scandalized by what's happening in your life. Because, you know, when you are going through mental health issues, sometimes you say, I'll go and talk to my friend. But to go and tell your friend what you went through, you know, maybe you are, okay, away from politics, maybe you are raped, maybe something happened to you, and you go and tell them, and your friend is like, what? Let me call person A. You know, a professional goes with a code of ethics and a conduct that they know they are not supposed to say this, tell another person. So I will tell you, go and share with the person who will not be scandalized by your truth, you know, so that this person can help you get out of this situation. The other thing you can do is also get support, get into support groups, like what we do, group therapy. I know there are many people who've lost. They can form support groups to find out. It's so much important to learn how person A is dealing with this. You can learn how person B is dealing with it, so that you can take lessons from each other. So get into those support groups. You know, if you don't have someone who is facilitating, you can actually call each other. You know, you know you know those people who lost. Call each other and support each other. Moral support. You know, it's so important when I'm listening to you and I'm understanding what you went through in your family, how your children reacted to this, how your wife has been reacting to this. Some people's wives even left. You know, they are left at home alone.
Or they never left physically, but they
never
left
even
you
left
with your dream, and they were like, just do your thing. Leave me alone.
So when you go here and maybe you are men and you share, and you open up to each other. So what do we do now? How do we move on after this? If you are women, call, I know they know each other, call each other, you know, and you can involve a professional or not. Just that being together is very helpful. And then also rest in the love of God. Just know that there is always next time. And if God helped you realize this dream now, He's also going to help you recover and you know, plan for next time or for the next thing that you're going to do. Because you know what, champions never plateau. This is just, you need to now get out of this plateau and start rising again. So that will be my advice to anybody who lost the election.
Champions never plateau. I think you're hearing it from Nelly, Neema today. as we talk about the post-election crisis and how you can get out of it. And not just, I mean, that's our focus definitely, but we are thinking of the many other losses that people go through. People lose money, people lose loved ones, people lose friends, and people even lose their health. And you have every day to keep confessing and telling God, I know healing is my portion. So we are talking about all kinds of losses today, but with a little emphasis on the post-election season, because this is a time when there are others that still believe they will be announced the winner, despite the fact that the certificate is with someone else. Allow me to acknowledge David that says losses is part of growth, because no growth without change, and no change without loss, and no loss without grief, and of course there's no grief without pain. And basically meaning that at the end of the day you have to go through the process so that you overcome. And then politics is a principality that divine wisdom is definitely required. I saw something recently where someone said that in Kenya, politics is like a life and death affair, and people should demystify this thing of politics, because again, I know this is not a political discussion, but it's almost you are in it for do or die. So there are people that once they lose, in fact, there are others that have sunk into depression. But I think you've brought it out well when you say people should seek. So you mentioned denial, right? But from my little understanding of psychological principles, they say shock comes first when you're thinking, no, this is not happening. What comes first? Is it denial or shock?
There are different theories.
Yes.
So the theory I'm using, denial comes first, but there's another theory, they describe the same thing as shock. So it's one and the same thing, because of course you'll be shocked and then you'll get into denial.
Yeah.
So it's almost the same thing.
All right.
Actually, you'll be shocked and then you'll deny.
Okay.
Or you'll be shocked and then you'll get into that season of denial.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me put in an interesting aspect here that I saw recently, whereby some of the aspirants would go back to the people they helped, and if it is something that they can take away, they actually take it away. Well, what's your take on that? Like a water tank, wanaenda wanatoa mifereji. I'll not give details, but this has happened. If you do your own research, you will find out these people have done that. I mean, what's your take on that, especially from a psychological perspective?
Before we get to the psychological perspective, maybe just to say, I think as a country, we need to get to a point where we elect leaders based on good governance, just based on what they are bringing to the table.
Right.
Because for such a long time, we've been electing leaders based on, that campaign period.
Yeah.
What were they giving women? What were they giving men?
Men.
Oh, there were blankets. There were cups.
Water tanks.
There were water tanks. Some people even started putting cabros. I've seen.
Yes.
Just the last week.
Honestly.
And you wonder, what kind of a leadership is this?
Yeah.
So we need to get to that place where we are electing leaders, based on a record of good governance. And we stop electing people based on the tokens that they are giving us.
Yes.
Because if we don't base it on, good governance and a record of good leadership, these people will bribe you so that they can be able to get in. And when they get in, you people, there is nothing you need to ask them
Basically,
for, because
it's like a superficial level.
Exactly. So when those people start going and getting these blankets and the cups and whatever tokens they gave out, it was wrong in the first place.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to buy the votes. They didn't have, maybe they had an agenda, but what they hide is, and it's an unfortunate situation, because most people are living in below certain levels of survival. And so when you come and give the women in this region 200 shillings and a blanket and a tank, they may feel that they will vote for you, not even looking at you and what you're carrying, the baggage you're carrying. You have court cases, you have all these things that are going on with you. So it shouldn't even happen that way in the first place. So this person who is even going to get back the blanket shows you their heart.
Yeah.
It shows you their heart. And it's surprising that Kenyans will still vote for these people. It shows you the heart of this person.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't even be like that.
Yeah.
I should just come and tell you I want to get a certain seat.
Yeah.
Vote for me.
Yes.
Because of A, B, C, D. And then when I get there, I actually do the A, B, C, D. And the country is able to move forward.
Wow. So the aspect of handouts again shows the heart of a person.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying that it's bad to gift people, because, I mean, even God gives us gifts, but not as a bait that we may love him. We should love him for who he is. And then the rest can follow. We should not follow God like when they followed Jesus because of the fish. And he told them, because he could see their hearts. And he told them, "Yi watu nawaona, you're following me because of the bread and the fish." So we are not saying entirely a politician, for example, or an aspirant cannot pay school fees for a child out of a clean heart. But the moment, like you've said, you come the last minute and put some cabro, put some tarmac that's falling apart, and then you disappear, and then after 4 years you come back, that should tell you. But then unfortunately, again, like we say, the people will still vote for this person. So we pray above all things that we can get good leaders. And one of the things I'm thanking God for is that I've been watching and I've seen some particular places, counties in this country. These people have had a track record of development in their area. And I'm like, I'm so glad so and so on. I don't even belong to that county, but I'm like, I am glad that this person won. We have to go on a break, but I want to appreciate Rose watching us, Rose Nkonke watching from Meru, and says that it will take the hand of God for us to get there, good governance. And she also says that she's following, and depression is, there's a word you said, there's a terminology you used to describe depression. Being
deeply oppressed.
Deeply oppressed. So we should refuse as believers and as citizens of Kenya to be deeply oppressed and walk out of whatever it is that we are facing. We will be back after the break.
My name is Apostle David Juma. I host the Encourage a Pastor program.
God wants the church to operate fully in the supernatural.
Who is ministering to the leaders.
And he said, "Son, this is going to kill you."
Oh my God.
Because I want to take you places only dead men can walk.
At one point in my house, I just switched off. Najua ile watu wanasema kuhani.
And this show deals with different subjects and matters and issues that concern the pastors and church leaders.
If you receive a prophetic word, the first thing is go back to God.
God values you in the office he has called you to.
So if you're an apostle all the way to a Bible teacher, evangelist, or a prophet, this is your show.
God, who began the good work in you, he will be faithful to bring it to completion.
Every Saturday night at 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, you will be impacted.
Welcome back to the Morning Digest. I'm your host, Ann David, and today we have a beautiful guest in the show, Nelly Neema, that is talking to us about loss and particularly post-election violence. Post-election loss crisis, what people are going through. We said no violence in this country. That was just a slip of the tongue. Anyway, so as we continue with this discussion, Nelly, tell us about unhealthy ways in which people choose to deal with loss. Sometimes it's not even their wish. And I remember a quote I came across this morning that said, it says, setbacks can demolish you without your permission. Setbacks can demolish you without your permission, and loss is a setback. So there are people right now that are feeling lost, disoriented, they had a schedule. Every morning they knew, I'm waking up to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now it's a total disorientation. So what are some of the ways one can avoid dealing with this kind of crisis?
People who are now experiencing a loss, of course, going through that disorientation, there are many emotions that are coming, at play. There are people who are feeling shameful.
Yeah.
They are unable to show face even in gatherings or in social gatherings. And there is guilt. What if I didn't even bother doing this and I placed this 1 million shillings in business and that kind of a thing. So there are those unhealthy ways of dealing with a loss, where you continuously blame yourself, and you're stuck in that shameful situation where you can't even you're unable to push your life forward. And those are unhealthy ways. Sorry, what the question you asked was?
The question was people that decide to go to deal with this loss in unconventional ways that is not helping them. And particularly, people having lost money, having lost friends, like you've said. So they decide, let me give you a good example. I saw one caption somewhere of this person that was seated but next to, basically they were drinking alcohol to forget that this really happened. And Kenyans were using that as a way of saying many things. Let me just say that. And I would say that is their way of dealing with it, but is it healthy? Once they sober up, they'll still remember that this happened.
Yeah, apart from the shame and guilt, now there are those people who will also get into addictions. Addictions, they will not understand where they are coming from. Because, loss, and it's not an intellectual thing. It's something. It's not something you think about. Grieving is something you experience. And when you skip that process of experiencing, you may find yourself trying to take substances so that you can alter your thinking processes, your cognitive processes. So you may take substances, you may take alcohol, you may find yourself starting, to involve yourselves in things, smoking. You may start being unfaithful to your wife. You may start anything, an addiction that may be from the pain that is coming from a loss, which is why it is important to pause and have some introspection, a conscious awareness of what is going on right now, so that you can be able to avoid those unhealthy, or in psychology we say maladaptive ways of coping with loss, like addictions and that kind of a thing.
All right. So what are some healthy ways, practical ways that, like I told you, someone used to have a busy schedule, busy in trying to pursue this, but then all of a sudden, and they have nothing to fall back on, in terms of this person was not a teacher, or basically they have forsaken their previous occupation in pursuit of this, and then they find themselves with so much time on their hands and probably no money. We are talking about now the practicalities, maybe 1 or 2 ways of what they can do to fill in their time. I know we are also different, so there's no cookie cutter kind of a situation where you tell us all, now let's do this, but at least there are some ways where we can all meet somewhere.
One of the ways that I think works for so many people is rituals, routines. I'm not saying rituals like those rituals. I'm talking about routines. Now you have stopped going for campaigns. In the case of these people who lost elections, you've stopped going for campaigns. You are no longer mheshimiwa. You are no longer this person that was being held high by the society, you know, because you're going to, because you see most people support you because they want jobs, they want opportunities, they want connections. So these people, you call them, they're no longer even picking your phones. You are back there in isolation at home.
Imagine.
You know? So get into routines that are going to help you. In counseling and psychology, we'll say these routines could be something like writing. You know, get a book. You know, one thing we as Africans, we need to get used to is that writing and expression of feelings. Because most of us grew in in a situation and a setup that was like, don't cry. Especially men, you know, man up and don't show your emotions. You know, and it's toxic
Yeah.
because you are at the end of the day you are first a human being.
Yeah.
God put these emotions in you because they were necessary.
Yeah.
You know, it's necessary to shed those emotions.
Yeah.
Sometimes you even need to cry.
Yeah.
And yes, you are a man, but you don't need to cry in front of people. You don't even need to go and see a female counselor. There are male counselors there. If you feel that you will be judged or whatever,
Yeah.
get into men support systems.
Yeah.
You know, those rituals, write.
Yeah.
You know, pray. That's another routine. Pray. Find you know, something like depression, something that I found that was very helpful for me. When you have this turmoil in your mind, pray in the spirit.
Yes.
Before you, this I'm saying as a believer,
Yes,
and
of
something
course.
that is very practical.
Yeah, yeah.
Pray in the spirit and then find a counselor.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
and if you are not born again and you don't know what praying in the spirit is, pray.
This is, yeah.
And then do research and help get into a fellowship that is going to help you understand what is praying in the spirit.
Yes.
That is like a first aid.
Yeah.
It's going to, you know, hold
Yeah.
you, especially those people who have cases of suicide, you know, because it comes suddenly.
Yeah.
Or those people who have self-harm issues. You know, there are people who cut themselves
Yeah.
as a form of dealing
Yeah.
with something.
Yeah.
Pray in the spirit. Immediately you sense that in the going on in you, start praying in the spirit. Pray in tongues. Pray, you know, read scripture.
Yeah.
Start speaking life, and then call someone
Yeah.
who is going to help you.
Okay.
Another routine you could do is going out into nature. You know, go out and get some sunshine.
Yeah.
You know, that is something we also as Africans need to,
Yeah.
we need to take it seriously.
Yeah.
Because we sometimes ignore the importance of these things.
Yeah.
Start running. If you don't run, start walking. You know, at 6 I know I'm supposed to go walking. You know, if you don't have a natural environment around you, pay for the gym.
Yeah.
You know, take even a month.
Yeah.
If you're not, you know, it doesn't have to be a you know, a long-term thing.
Yeah.
So that you can be able to give your mind time. You know, when you go into nature, you take your mind away from that situation. Or when you write, or when you pray, or when you know, when you seek professional help, you escape from. Because when you are alone, it's a spiraling down of negative thoughts. Or I should have done this, or I should have done. Now I don't have money. What am I going to eat? What will I pay rent with? Oh, my children, they have been. Oh, my wife. You know. But when you go outside, you are able to see the world in another perspective. When you pray, the word of God is living and active. That is, as I said, it is first aid. It is instant.
Yeah. Yeah.
God sends help immediately. When you talk to someone who is able to help you, they are able to, you know, they reach out to you and they pull you out of whatever is going on with you. So those are some of the routines. You can pray.
Yeah.
You can exercise. You know, you can, because you know, exercise is not just there is a biological explanation to it. The hormones, you know, the endorphins, the feel good hormones. You know, even as we are Christians, we need to understand that we have this is our vessel, and we need to understand how this vessel functions. And the brain is also in the physical, and there is what is needed to be done to the brain, you know. So those are some of the things that you can do. Write, read, you know, get some books. If you've not, if you've never read, get some books that are in line, you know, or inspirational books. Read, you know, start doing something.
Yes.
You know, start doing something, and don't just sit there in the
and
darkness
have a pity party.
and pity party.
Yeah.
Because when you are there, you know, the devil is looking for someone who is
He's always roaring like a lion.
A lion looking for someone to devour, and he'll find you there, not even speaking words of life into your life, and he will come and devour you, and the next thing we are hearing is some bad news. So
I tell you.
get into write something down, get into some routines, and you'll definitely come out of that situations.
I'm telling you, I'm also learning a lot, by the way, and I'm sure there are audience out there, my viewer, you're watching and you're learning something. And there's something that has come to my mind as you are talking. And the aspect of, if I'm going through something difficult, how about looking for people that are also going through tough times? In my case, what I've thought about would be, if someone is going through a difficult time, look for something within your circles. Like if let's say you lost and you used to be involved in hospital ministry, continue visiting the sick. The fact that you've lost doesn't mean, the moment you go out there and see sick people, you'll be like, I'm actually healthy.
That's true.
I lost an election, but I'm able to walk. I can eat, I'm of a sound mind. So there's something to be grateful for. And you take your mind away from your problems.
That's
now
true.
I'm talking like a psychologist.
Yeah, it's true.
So that can work as well.
Actually, there's a time I was experiencing all sorts of losses.
Yeah.
Job, you know, many losses.
Yeah.
And I would sit in the house, and I used to do hospital ministry in Kenyatta.
Yeah.
You know, so I decided even if it means walking, I will walk. I will go to town, then I will walk. And I will.
Kenyatta?
Yes.
Wow.
I would walk, and then when I get there, I was given permission to go to the oncology ward. That is the cancer ward. And I would go to the cancer ward, and maybe I didn't even have something to eat. I don't even know where I'll get transport. So I'll call, hey, help me. And God will come through. And as I was doing that, I think that is the time that I was able to even do my degree. I don't know. Just God connected things.
From having no fear to being able to do your studies.
From being able to do my studies, find another job. You know, I got the strength, because when you go there, you find someone in pipes.
That's right.
You know, and you're like, but I'm breathing.
Yes.
I have sound mind.
Yeah.
I can walk. So I can sit down and put another structure and bring something up again and rise up from whatever is going on
in your life,
in my life. Be it a loss of a relationship. You go out there and see you see people in those situations, and you are able to appreciate. I've also lost someone, you know, to sudden death. And you're able to appreciate life. You know, you are able to even tell people, I appreciate you now that you are alive. You know, you are able to appreciate life, you appreciate people. Loss is able to, you know, loss is something that should be able to help us appreciate life and the good things that God is already doing in our lives.
Amen.
So if you lost that election, you know, look at the good things that happened. You are able to meet people. Sit down with the contacts that you met. I'm sure you can do something and be able to, you know, build yourself from there. But don't, you know, human beings are capable of creating situations and wallowing in those situations. So don't wallow in the creations of your mind. Be able to rise up from that, and it's possible. There are so many people who've been there, and they've been able to pull themselves out of that.
Right.
Read autobiographies of people who are in those, you know, they thought they were at a dead end. Read autobiographies of those people. If you feel that you cannot read, listen to audiobooks.
Yes.
If you cannot listen to audiobooks, pray, write, go out, talk to people. And also pray that God leads you to the right people to talk to. It's very important. Because I need to find out whether I can trust you with the nitty-gritties of my life, because you know, human beings sometimes...
I don't want to be giving you the lead to a story.
Exactly.
You go sharing it out there.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's interesting, and I'm sure with all that you're saying, if someone takes on that information seriously, then it will help them move from where they were today, because someone is dealing with that. So how can society also be supportive? Because there are people that probably are being told, I told you so, I told you so. So it's not like you're helping me by telling me I told you so. So how can the society, and in this case I'm talking about family, community members, that will go back to this person and tell them, nilijua tu lakini huku nisikiza, you know, those kind of things. How can we be supportive to one another at such an hour?
One, as the society, we need to, these people, they need, now we are talking about the people who lost the elections, you know, backbiting. And you know, when someone is talking against you, and maybe you get into a gathering and they are talking, you will know. You will know.
You will definitely, the way God created us.
You will definitely know.
God.
You know, so and that creates stigma. And when you create stigma, this person will just find that it's easier to stay in the house and not even come to, if it was a chama.
Or they build a wall.
Or they build a wall.
Where to place you.
Exactly. They build a wall. You cannot pass through the wall. Or they just decide, kama ilikuwa chama, or it was a men's gathering, they will no longer come. Because when they come, you people are always talking about them. So the other thing we need to do is to just be there for them, you know. And as I said earlier, don't tell them you know what they are going through.
Because you don't know.
You are not the one who was on the posters. You are not the one who, you know, going through. Just be there for them. Offer practical help. If you realize that they are going through some financial problems, offer practical. Don't ask them, what do I do for you? Because they may be unable to voice out. If you have extra food and God puts it in you and helps you understand that this person is even sleeping hungry, take a packet of unga, practical help, If it's a lady and it's your friend, they may start even, they may stop grooming themselves and start looking, because this thing it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. So help them, practical help. Let me help you do your hair. Maybe it doesn't have to be a big things. Visit them to their houses. If it's a single lady, help them, in clean the practical things. Don't ask them, what do I do? Because they will never tell you exactly what you should do. Practical help, being there for them, praying with them, helping them go through this grieving process so that they can be able to, get to their preferred scenario. Because I'm sure even if they are going through this grieving period, there is what they would want, there is where they would want to get. They would really want to disassociate themselves with whatever is going on and overcome it. Help them walk in the same streets again without fear of what people will say. Just be there for them as a society, as a family. Understand that grieving is different for many people. Someone will take a long time, another person will take a short time. One person will project the anger to you. So they may push you away. Just understand it's a process of grieving. Give them time. Give them time. And as you give them time, offer practical help, pray for them, walk with them. And when we do that, these people, actually most of these people will come out of this, and they will be back.
They will bounce back.
They will bounce back.
So something came to my mind as you were talking. Are there permanent? They say there are no permanent friends or enemies in politics, and yet the society builds permanent enemies based on people that know we cannot be enemies forever. Tomorrow, depending on where the deal is good, I shift my allegiance, and yet the community is left. You become enemies with your neighbor because of so and so. Yet that so and so will greet their friend like yesterday, not even tomorrow. What would you say about that?
What I think. I've also had a few politicians, friends, and when we're hanging out, what I come to understand is that this thing, there are those people who do political science and the lawyers. This thing is just interests.
Kabisa.
It's interests. Just like we could, be friends so that you can get to a certain goal. These people will never be enemies. And even the people who are
should be hard, loud and clear. These people will never be enemies.
Will never be enemies.
So we should never be enemies.
We shouldn't.
Based on our political stance.
We shouldn't. Because even if you look at the history of political allegiances in Kenya, this person was in this alliance, then the next election, they come out of the alliance, they form another alliance, and you wonder what happened. But there are people even who killed each other on the ground, because of them. So we should never become, even on Facebook, I was seeing people who are even being so vulgar, and I wondered, how will these people recover after the elections, because they have their own lives to lead after this. So I wondered, like the political bloggers, I've always been asking myself, so how are they supposed to move on?
I guess maybe some are on the payroll, they don't care. I think they're on a payroll.
But even if you're on a payroll, anyway. So that's what we should never be enemies because of them. Let's just understand that what we need most importantly is good leadership. And even if you are an enemy of person A, like the principles, in another 5 years time, you'll be surprised to find those principles forming an alliance. Who's left to question themselves? It is you, the citizen, Wanjiko, the Mwananchi. So build your life. What you need to do is vote, and vote a person who is going to bring good governance, good leadership, public policy, good public policy engagements, and that kind of a thing. So don't put, there's someone who said, usiweke kwa
roho,
weka kwa lungs, This is just something to steer the country forward. You have your own life to live.
That's right.
You have your own family. You have your own things. What you need to do is to just cast the vote for that person who you And another thing, you know, politics, as I said, it carries a certain spirit that is sometimes very negative. Let's avoid very strongly opinionated people.
Yes.
There is someone who will not want to understand.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Yeah.
So avoid those conversations. If I note that you are strongly opinionated, I may just sit and, you know, nod. And because I know if we continue, it will escalate to something that is not going to be nice. So be on the lookout. Discern those people who are, they are taking this thing.
Yes.
You know.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, viewers. I think, and I know you've had it for yourself. Thank you, Lucy, for watching, and also Elijah Kihara for watching. And Rose says that it will take the hand of God for us to get there. In other words, good governance. I think that's a comment that you had made earlier. And then politics is a principality. That is from David, and divine wisdom is needed. And so as we bring this to a close, I want to believe that you have learned some principles of dealing with loss, but we cannot finish without allowing our guests to tell us, maybe that is if you're free to do so, tell us about a personal, no, not a personal experience, but how at a personal level you've ever dealt with loss at a personal level, and especially as you give us a parting shot to the viewers.
I've experienced loss of many things. I've lost jobs, I've lost amounts of money, I've lost friendships, but sudden death of a close relative is something that really got to me, because this was someone who I was very close to, and this was someone I would share what was going on in my life, even more than my parents, because they were able to come to my level, and we would talk. But then they got sick and they died, and that hit me so bad, and I really grieved that situation. And I thank God because of the wisdom at that time to seek the counsel of God. I was able to pray. I didn't even go for counseling at that time because I didn't have that wisdom,
knowledge,
and knowledge. But I thank God for prayer, and I came to appreciate life. And I thank God for the relationship that we had. And one thing that taught me, if we can only be able to appreciate those people that are in our lives right now, and not wait for the day that they died and then start asking, what if I was the one who was driving so that they don't get in that accident? What if I was there when the doctor was doing this so that they don't die? You know, appreciate them so that even when they die, you can be able to celebrate their life. So it taught me that, and it's something that we need to do and practically do, so that even when this person dies, we are able to say, I'm celebrating their life, and I'm not really stuck in the mourning, because I know we had a connection, and you know, even if they left, they left when we were at good terms. So appreciate people when they are alive. It's very important.
Appreciate people when they are alive. And of course, like someone says, your network is your net worth. Social capital is definitely something that we need. Live well with people. And as we bring this show to an end, our guest has been Nelly, Neema. We've been talking about the post-election crisis, how to deal with loss. And I want to conclude with a quote. I guess by now you know I love quotes, that says, a setback is often a prerequisite to success, to your success. It's definitely not a life sentence. So it is a prerequisite to success. Loss sometimes just helps you realize, I can do better next time. I will do better next time. And if there's a good example, it is President Roosevelt. 7 times he tried to campaign for the presidency of the United States of America, and won on the 7th time. So don't give up. May God bless you in your future plans. And until we meet next week on Thursday, it's been me and David. God bless.